Well, hello there, dead and lovely listeners, and welcome to the brand newest installment of the greatest horror movie podcast in this realm and all others. Why, it's dead and lovely, here with your best buds in all the world. It's me, your good buddy Uncle Ben.
And me, Hollywood Steve.
Ooh, Hollywood Steve, how you been doing today, man?
One
One of those, huh?
Yeah.
One of those is just a bunch of sounds.
Just a whole bunch of sounds coming out. Yeah, it's just it's a day.
Yeah, like, one of those, huh?
Ben, let me tell you, I remember the hype for April 20th of 2020.
Oh, man, it was going to be the 420th of 420s, dude.
For years. And when I woke up that day and I got on the interwebs, I didn't see a single 420 meme until mid-afternoon.
Wow. That's sad. Like, that's actually people really
forgot.
Sad.
People just forgot. That's where I'm at. I'm at forgot 420.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't have meant anything. It would have just been a bunch of memes and people going, nice. Like, but it's just a thing you come to expect. And it didn't happen. So that's pretty much a microcosm of my entire life right now.
Well, what does it mean to us, though, that, like, Easter came and went and, like, we didn't even notice, but we're, like, bummed out. They're like, oh, man, everybody forgot 420.
Yeah. I mean, Easter's lame. 420 is awesome. And 420 is also lame. Like, we've gone back around on it where we all were so ironically being like 42069 that again it's like actually cool. Yeah, that is cool.
Dude, I've turned out having myself a more exciting day than I bargained for, man.
Yeah,
it was one of those. So we had to take the dog to the vet. As anybody that listens to the show knows, poor Zora tore her CCL, which is kind of the doggy ACL, yeah. So she's been going in for just like, steroid shots and stuff like that, just to kind of dull the pain.
Fucking swole.
The thing is that we can't get her surgery done because it's non-essential right now.
Yeah, I know.
So we kind of got to just like, keep her comfortable until she can actually get the operation and get it fixed up and stuff. So we went to the vet and, like I said, she got her shot and stuff, in and out really quick. And then she went out in the grass to do her business there before we got back in the car. Totally stomped in a ton of some other dog shit all over my back seat.
Oh,
very great. Exactly what you want in these trying times.
Dog shitty back seat.
Yeah. And so the thing is that makes this even more challenging is, well, of course, she's tracked shit in on the upholstery of the back seat, but then also we have like a 30-minute drive to get back home, so she's gonna lay down on that seat too.
Oh,
yeah. Which means, of course,
shitty dog fur.
Yeah, and of course that means she has to get a bath as soon as we get back. So we get back. Kate takes the dog inside. I go outside to like clean the upholstery in my car, which is super fun, of course. And the thing that makes this more complicated is the fact that we don't have a bathtub in our apartment. We have a vertical shower stall. Picture, if you will, a little tiny woman and a 100-pound dog fitting in a shower stall trying to bathe the dog. I think I got the easier end of the deal by cleaning the shit off the car seat, frankly.
Yeah, I think so.
And pretty much as soon as we were done with that, I had to hop on the internet to do a live stream with my good buddy Ken Susi of the band Unearth. We were doing a live stream for the Fishman YouTube channel and Twitch stream and all that jazz. Fishman makes some awesome pickups that I use in several of my guitars.
Yeah,
one of the biggest.
Those are the things that hold the guitar, right?
Exactly. Right. Yes, they pick it up. They pick up.
Right?
The notes.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I know all about guitars. I got it.
Oh, dude, yeah, clearly. I mean, you got it down. You got the lingo, dude.
Yep.
So we did that live stream, which actually was a lot of fun. It was really cool. And then pretty much just hopped right on to do this business right here. And as soon as I'm done with this, I got to probably work out because I didn't work out this morning. So I was too busy getting ready to take the dog to the vet and stuff. So, yeah, action-packed day, man.
But, have you fallen in love with any exercises, Ben?
Dude, no, but I'll tell you, I found a bunch that I fucking hate, man. So a lot of days we do like, YouTube, like Pilates things and stuff like that. And there's plenty of stuff to hate in those. We change it up all the time so that we're not just doing the same thing all the time. And, so we check out all these different people's channels and we do this person's workout and this person's workout or whatever. But we hate them all so much because they make us feel terrible. So all of these different channels have just turned into like, well, let's work out with the Australian bitch today. No, let's work out with the Asian bitch today. It's just like they're all just like different kinds of bitch, and we hate them all.
Oh no.
I really wonder what's going on though. Whenever you watch those workout videos and it'll have like, one person at the front that has the microphone and then the 2 people or 3 people behind them that are doing the workout with them. How come you can't hear those people cussing and stuff? Like, why can't you hear them going, God damn, fuck? Because I know that while we're working out, we're cussing a blue streak the entire time.
Oh, man. I imagine I would be the same way. I have to make my own workouts. I can't do other people telling me what to do. I got to know exactly what's coming every single time. And I have to determine ahead of time if I can actually do it. Like, I hate you start a workout and they're like, all right, now we're going to do like 250 handstand push-ups. And it's like, one, maybe. Maybe.
Dude, maybe you should start your own YouTube fitness channel that deals with this, and you call it Rage Against the Exercise Machine.
Yeah. Rage Against the Exercise
Machine. Fuck you, I won't do it, you tell me.
Man, I don't know if I've ever talked about this. I probably have. But like when you go and look up beginners workouts and it's like, do 10 pull-ups. I have been working toward doing pull-ups the entire time since I stopped going to the gym and had to work out at home. And
they're hard as shit.
I still struggle to do 2 pull-ups in a row. So what the fuck is that a beginner workout?
Yeah. I mean, dude, they're so hard, especially if you have like any extra weight on you. It's ridiculous.
Yes. Yeah. Like if you're a beginner, you're probably trying to lose some weight. And it'll be like, do like 3 sets of 10 push-ups. And it's like 10, like at 290 pounds, you want me to do 10 push-ups?
Right.
Like now I can do 10 push-ups. And actually I fell in love with push-ups this week. I had heard at some point it kind of clicks. I've never like doing push-ups for football practice, baseball practice, doing push-ups in gym class and stuff. I always sucked at push-ups, and it just clicked one day, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can do push-ups!"
Wow!
I've been working out for 9-10 months now, so that is not a beginner workout. It's a ridiculous idea that somebody is gonna, as a beginner, start doing push-ups.
Dude, no kidding. And also, too, like, doesn't that just make you terrified of what intermediate must be like? You know? It makes you feel like a piece of shit where you're like, this is the beginner one and I can't do this?
Exactly.
Why even try?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't watch those workouts. I do from time to time watch them, and I saw one the other day with this guy. I'm not going to say his name because I can't remember it, but he had so many tattoos, and he had them in this like place. You know how Randy Orton's tattoos make it look like he has like a tiny little shirt on?
Yeah, it does. It's adorable.
It's like so weird. It's yeah. Well, this guy, it's like that, but like across his neck. So it was like he was wearing like this weird sleeved dickie of tattoos. And it was so hard for me to follow along with what he was doing because I was like, because like some of them were great and some of them didn't look as great. I don't know how you do that. Like why when you're putting together a sleeve of tattoos, you're like, hey, Sheedy McGee with the homemade tattoo gun, can you do one? And hey, you, this obviously professional, can you do the other? What the fuck?
I like the contrast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely found a lot that we really hate, man. I hate, like, what is that thing called? Where, like, you're holding a weight and you do a squat and you, like, pulse. It's like a squat pulse, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Those are terrible.
Yeah,
also hate the one where you're holding your weights kind of, like, over your shoulders. You do a squat and then you push the weights up straight up over your head.
Uh-huh.
Squat press or something like that. I can't remember what these fucking things are called. Holy shit, man. Just grueling. Hate that stuff,
grueling.
Man. I have had time this week, though, to watch some stuff while I'm not getting fucking shredded as shit.
Hell
you want to hear about it?
Yeah, tell me about it.
I've watched some very bad stuff this week.
Uh-oh, let's hear.
I've watched some things that I did not think were good. One of which was fucking Aquaman.
Oh, God damn. I don't know if I talked about it when I watched it, but yeah, it's bad.
It's so bad. Yeah. It's so bad.
I don't understand, because I remember people saying it was fun. I'm starting to, doubt my own concept of fun.
Yeah, because it was not fun.
No.
At all, man. It's it was totally in that weird valley that movies like The Phantom Menace and stuff like that are in, where you're like, who is this made for? This is
why?
Way too boring for kids and way too stupid for adults. Who is this for? You know?
Exactly.
And they put so much work into it, man. Like the CG and all that stuff was so huge in the movie. Somebody spent thousands of hours and millions of dollars on this for nothing. Like, it fucking sucks, dude.
Yeah.
It has really led me to this idea, though, man. Like, because obviously we're seeing that DC has a knack for sucking the fun out of fucking anything, right?
Yes, they do.
I think the next time the government or the moral majority is trying to make something that's, maybe cool or fun seem not fun,
just have the
hire
DC people. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, if you want to get everybody
off of drugs.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, don't try weed, brought to you by the producers of DC. It's like, they would make it actually look like the least fun thing in the universe. You'd be like, God, no, I never want to do that. I never want to drink. Look
it shows
how
a
boring
marijuana plant with damaged tattooed on its head. And everybody's just like, yeah, no, not interested.
It's like, oh my God, pot is so not cool. Did you see that fucking commercial? It's lame as shit. They can take the fun out of
movies,
everything.
Man.
Why?
Some people love those movies. I do not know what's going on. It's just a complete reversal of my expectations in watching those movies that anybody would say, I loved this.
It was horrible. I really hate it, and it just took so long. It was such a fucking long movie.
So long, yeah.
But it's not as long as the other piece of dog shit I watched this week, which was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Holy shit. Yeah? I got in some hot water posting on this because I posted about it online, and I got a bunch of people that were just like, fuck you, man. That movie is so fucking boring. I love Quentin Tarantino. I love him. Like, Pulp Fiction is my favorite movie of all time. I love Kill Bill 1 and 2. I love what's his segment of
Planet Terror?
No, that's Rodriguez.
Oh, the other one?
The other one. Holy shit, Death Proof. Yeah, good lord.
Death Proof,
clearly I'm a huge fan. I even love the recent stuff. I love Inglourious Bastards and all those. Dude, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I am pretty sure that Quentin Tarantino was like, oh shit, my taxes are going to be really hard this year. I need a big old write-off. Well, I got all these cool Hollywood friends that we could hang out and stuff. Maybe we just make a movie so that way I can have a tax write-off.
Huh.
It sucks. Have you watched it?
I haven't.
I know that a lot of people are like, oh, it's a love letter to the golden era of Hollywood, and there's so many references to classic Hollywood, blah, 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 blah. I don't give a shit. It's a boring-ass story, dude. It's like, if I wrote that script and sent it in to top Hollywood producers, it never would have gotten made, because it's a boring-ass story, dude.
I mean, you saying it's a love letter to the golden age of Hollywood makes me want to watch it.
I mean, you try it out and see if you see something in it that I don't, because I would love your take on it, because I wanted to love the movie. I was so excited to watch it. And, dude, there's a point in the movie where Kate fell asleep for 10 minutes. She woke back up and was like, oh, I dozed off. What did I miss? And I was like, actually nothing. Like, you're fine. She picked back up on the movie, had no questions about anything that was going on. And the big thing that I get from people about it, and the reason they like it so much, is like, oh, man, Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt are so good in it. Well, no shit. When are they ever not awesome?
That's true. They're
always great. Of course they are.
They're not going to take a role if they're not going to take it seriously. So, yeah, of course they're great in it.
Yeah, no big deal at all, man. Yeah, I was not a fan of it in the least, man. A couple people have told me you need to get that second watch on it to really get it, and maybe I will sometime, but I'm not jazzed about watching that anytime soon. But, we did watch one that was better than that.
What was?
That new Pixar flick, Onward, is a lot of fun.
Oh, okay.
I was not excited to watch it, because from the trailers, I was like, this looks like a jumbled mess of just stuff.
You know what? I'll admit, I don't even know in the least, like, nothing is registering in my head when you say Onward.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
It wasn't even promoted all that heavy, but it's kind of like you got these dudes that are brothers, and they're in this like fantasy universe, and they're kind of Smurf-ish, I guess.
Oh, I've seen previews for that. Okay. Yes.
It was way better than I thought it would be. It was a good time, man.
I mean, yeah, I don't. Is there a Pixar movie that is just bad?
I like Cars. Cars isn't great, but it's still okay.
Cars. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, not really. I mean, really, they always knock it out. They'll always gut punch you and make you cry a little bit, though.
Yeah.
But it was good, man. And also, I'll tell
Pixar
you,
nails it, huh?
The last one that I watched this week, I want to see if you can guess it.
Okay.
I want you to tell me if you can think of a flick where the soundtrack literally is just alternating songs between Third Eye Blind and Smash Mouth. Literally. A movie where you can drop the hard F as a gay insult and nobody bats an eye, so you already know the time period.
Right.
And maybe even a movie where Seth Green wears goggles.
Oh, Can't Hardly Wait.
You damn right I watched Can't Hardly Wait.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And it was awesome. Stupid.
It is bad, yeah.
Dude, I'll tell you what, though. No, but it was kind of like the right one to have.
Back in the day.
Yeah, but it was kind of like the right one to have on while, like, you know, I think I was like editing a video and Kate was working on something and like I had to wash some dishes and stuff. And it was just like, I don't know, have noise on. It was like, well, yep, this is just
noise.
There that's go. 90s noise right there. So stupid, man. Such a dumb fucking movie.
Yeah, it is.
And of course, I also tuned in for the streaming chat last Friday, our weekly streaming chat we do with our fans on Discord, where we all watch a shitty movie and chat it up and stuff. Yeah, if it was not apparent, was very drunk.
It was apparent.
What was the giveaway? Because I know that you could tell if I was there talking in person, but like talking via text, what was the giveaway? What blew my cover?
Drunk Ben is like, I got something to say, but I'm gonna ask a question to get y'all to let me say it. So like, you're just
that
asking
is something
tons
I would
of
do.
questions. You're just asking so many questions, and it's like, all right, like cool. Like, yeah, I mean, I got a bunch of feedback that I knew you wouldn't remember, but I was like, oh, okay, cool. But like,
that's funny.
Yeah, you just like middle of a conversation, you just be like, hey, what's up? What's y'all's favorite episode of the show or something?
What y'all think about Bo Cephas?
Yeah.
That's so fucking stupid.
And then you spilled your champagne, and that was like, oh, well, yeah, he's drunk.
Oh, dude, I was so upset because, I was sitting on the couch, and, like, Zora, like, mule kicked me. She was sleeping and just kind of did one of those dog mule kicks, you know? And I spilled a bunch of champagne on the couch, and then, like, 2 minutes later, I spilled the rest of it on the floor. Just totally my own fault at that point.
That's awesome.
Just a real dumb piece of shit is what I was, man.
Oh man, I got pretty drunk that night too.
We watched The Crazies, which
we watched the remake of The Crazies.
Obviously, I don't remember very much.
No, I remember liking it around the time it came out. Yeah. I enjoyed it. But rewatching it, it was like, it's not great. It's fine. It's got some cool scenes. It's got some cool stuff in it. And Timothy Olyphant is awesome.
I love that guy. He is awesome, man. He makes an appearance in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as well.
Yeah. But I mean, we watched it just because it was the last week before the Joe Bob Briggs thing comes back on Shudder.
Nice.
What is that called? Last Drive-In. That's it.
There you
go. Which is what we normally watch on the streaming chat, but it's been on hiatus for about 8 months or so. So it's nice to see them coming back. No idea what they're going to be doing, but we'll find out on Friday night.
I think after I tuned out, I think you guys watched some other stuff too, right?
We did. Okay, so Dave Bechet and I watched this one time on the streaming chat when it was like, it was after a movie and everybody else got off, and Dave and I were just like, let's watch something. We watched Biotherapy. Maybe there was somebody else there.
I don't know that one.
It's this Japanese, I would just call it a short film, but it's like 35 minutes. It would be a really good segment of a anthology. It's it's weird sci-fi-ish stuff. The gore is awesome. Like a guy's eye gets pulled out and it looks like so good. This woman gets like test tubes stabbed into her and then blood is just spurting out of the test tubes.
Awesome.
It's really like the story is very strange, but it's not so much about the story. It's more about the effects. But I'd say it's kind of like this like Japanese take on Giallo with some strange sci-fi element thrown in.
That sounds cool, man.
Yeah. So we watched that afterward when there were more people to show it to just be like, hey, look at how cool this is. And a lot of people agreed. It is cool.
Nice. I like cool stuff.
Yeah, me too. So check it out sometime. It's on YouTube, Biotherapy. It's Japanese. It has subtitles and it's only 35 minutes, which I think is, if you're gonna make something that's just super weird and maybe isn't gonna make sense entirely, you don't need it to be feature length. There's no reason. Go for 30 minutes. That's fine.
Right on, man. I'll have to check that out. And everybody, please check out the Discord stream and chat, especially while everybody's kind of cooped up at home and stuff right now. Hell, hang out with your boys. We had
a lot of people there on Friday. It was really fun. It's fun. The more people you have, the more fun it is.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
So many of our listeners are so funny. It's hilarious. It's a good time.
Oh, yeah. It's always a great time. Of course, that's totally for free. Anybody can sign up for the Discord and stuff like that. Get yourself some socialization going on in these trying times.
Let's get social.
Now, Steve, you also told me you watched a couple of documentaries that pertain to this film. We'll talk about those when we get to the review proper. You checked out anything else good this week?
I watched the first episode of season 2 of What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, is that
awesome? Good? Yeah, awesome.
Oh, man.
The show is so good. I'm excited for the second season. Like, just so funny.
Right on, man. I got to tune into those right there. All right, now, Steve, I need to get myself a little whistle wetter.
Me too.
You know what I'm saying?
My whistle is dry.
Oh, man. It's a good thing we got ourselves another delicious beer from K2 Bros Brewing from upstate New York that my good buddy, our friend Jeff Rupert, sent us here. We've got ourselves an Imperial Chocolate Peppermint Stout. My good Lord, does that ever sound awesome?
Yes, it does. I'm expecting Junior Mints.
I hope that's what we get
out of it. Or a York Peppermint Patty.
And 10% alcohol. Definitely buckle it up for that.
Definitely.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome, man. This is one of the ones that whenever Jeff sent us his box of beers from K2 there, this is one of the ones that I opened up and I was like, oh my God, I cannot wait to try that one. Of course, K2 has not been disappointing.
It looks stout as hell.
Yep, it sure does. It's a really dark, chocolatey looking stout right here. See if I can get some of that peppermint off of the aroma. Are you a chocolate peppermint person, Steve? Some people love it, some people hate it.
I know people hate it, but I love it. I don't know. Like, I've had some that's bad, and I get why some people hate it, but I love it.
You know, I love chocolate peppermint most all of the time. I love a chocolate peppermint ice cream. I love a York peppermint patty. But you know, the really oddball one that I absolutely can't stand, and I can tell you why, I hate an Andes mint. I hate them.
Oh, okay. Why?
So it seems weird because it's just like, well, that's just more mint and chocolate stuff. How is it any different than the rest, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So my dad had a friend that worked for, you know, Brock Candy Company. They're the ones that make all the shitty, just, you know, grandparent candy is like Starlight Peppermints and Butterscotch Discs and stuff like that. He had a friend that worked for them, and, you know, he would just basically like swipe, you know, boxfuls of stuff that was going to go bad in 2 months or whatever, right? But the thing is, whenever, like, you know, somebody brings you a box of candy that's going to expire in like 2 months, that means 5 or 6 months later, you're still working your way through it. And those Andes mints are now 4 months expired.
Oh, gosh.
So they're just kind of get like dry and chalky and shitty, you know?
Yeah.
But I ate a bunch of them because I like chocolate and peppermint. But there's something about that just like, I don't know. It just reminds me of that, and I can't stand it.
It ruins it. Yeah, I get it. I understand that.
How's that beer treat you?
I had a heart. Okay, man. So yes, this is very junior minty.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's stout as hell.
Yes, like, it's very stout.
Mm-hmm. Very, very dark chocolatey, which I love.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. It's more like if you had a York peppermint patty that had like one of those like 90% cacao chocolate wrappings.
The Trader Joe's peppermint patties are like that. The dark chocolate ones. That's what I'm getting, because it's minty, but it's not like overly minty.
You know, it's interesting too, because initially the initial aftertaste is of a very dark, bitter stout. But then after you wait about 10 seconds, the aftertaste really does taste like you just had a York peppermint patty.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like a cool mouth.
Yeah, but it's also still like dark and chocolatey too.
It's also got like it does have an alcohol bite to it, but it's like a good thing.
Oh yeah. Well, it says this Imperial Oatmeal Stout was brewed with Cholaka? What is that? Is that a kind of hop or something maybe?
I assume. I have no idea.
Cholaka, candy canes, mint leaves, brown sugar, and peppermint patties. It definitely tastes like it for sure. That's good as hell.
Hell yeah.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, I don't know how many of these I could have because, yeah.
That's a heavy-duty Judy.
Baby. Yeah, it is.
Well, you know, Steve, the subject of our show today is the Tejas Chainsaw Massacre Part
That's it.
2.
Part 2.
And the thing that really stands out to me about this movie is that it is a sequel that completely flipped the script and totally changed the idea and the feel and the tone of its original. But of course, it's not the only thing in movie or otherwise entertainment history that has ever attempted this crazy feat. So,
No.
I say before we get into the movie review proper, let's pop in over there at the Preview Palace.
Welcome to the Preview Palace.
And how about we just take a second here and talk about some of our favorite times that the creators of a popular franchise in entertainment history, meaning not just limited to movies, have totally changed it up when they hit that sophomore or later sequel stride, you know?
Yeah.
What's the first thing that comes to mind for you?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind for me is Terminator, because that movie Terminator 2 goes from a slasher film to hard sci-fi.
Yeah.
Like it's such a stark difference between the two movies.
Yeah, definitely.
Like it'll be entirely valid when we cover Terminator on this, but when we do have to do Terminator 2, it'll be a wild card because there's no like horror element to it really.
That's true.
Aside from the hallway scene in the insane asylum when she first sees him, like she reacts because she was in a horror movie with him. She has to adjust to now I'm in a sci-fi movie with him.
Yeah, that's true, man. They are definitely very differently toned movies. That first one has such a cool, like bleak sci-fi horror kind of vibe to it. Like you said, very slashery and stuff at times. And then the second one is fucking Budnick on a dirt bike and Guns N' Roses and all kinds of awesome shit.
Though. I mean, Terminator 2 is a movie that I can rewatch over and over and over and just still love it.
But, you know, that's not the only time that James Cameron just came in and said, you know what, part 2 should be totally different, and then nail the dog shit out of it.
Right. Alien and Aliens. Like, Alien is a horror movie. It's hard sci-fi, but it's a horror movie. Aliens is an action movie.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, again, it's kind of the same vibe as what Terminator 1 and 2 are, where it's like part 1 is sci-fi horror, part 2 is sci-fi action.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a good movement if you're going to keep building on a world. Like, what else are you going to do there with the horror? Like, you can't go beyond. All you would do is exactly what, say, you know, Friday the 13th or Halloween did, where you're just retreading the same thing over and over, and it's fun and campy. But if you're trying to be a serious filmmaker like James Cameron, then you kind of want it to go somewhere interesting, and that seems like the best way to go. Just dig further into the sci-fi and make it an action movie.
Well, I think it's also so evident, too, that James Cameron really knows what made Alien so effective is that, and we talked about it on our episode where we reviewed Alien a couple months back, but it's like the whole movie, you're never sure what that thing is. You don't get a full body shot of that thing until way late in the movie. So it's just kind of this like ambiguous, unknowable form, which is what makes that movie so cool. And you never know where it is and all that kind of shit. But James Cameron knows, as Bugs Bunny once told us, it's a cool trick, but you can only do it once.
Right. So next time you got to go bigger and badder, and you got to show it.
Yeah, show the fucking things and make it a full-on action kill fest.
Yeah.
Makes the suspense different. Makes the suspense that they're completely outnumbered by these things.
Yeah, I mean, I can see a world where Terminator or Alien had sequels that were further horror films.
Yeah.
And it would just be campy and stupid. It wouldn't ever... I mean, maybe with Alien you could have continued that, but it would just be a retread kind of over and over that would never reach the heights of the original, whereas Aliens does reach the heights of the original, and some people prefer it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same with Terminator and Terminator 2. Some people prefer Terminator 2 as the better movie. I think it is, honestly.
I like T2 better, honestly.
Yeah.
Alien is better than Aliens.
I think so.
Yeah,
but
I would have
Aliens
said the
is
opposite.
so fucking good.
Oh, Aliens is the shit, man. I would have said the opposite years ago when I was a kid because I liked seeing shit get blown up, and the aliens look so cool.
It's cool.
And you see them all the time. But yeah, now in my older, wiser years, I now know that Alien is the superior movie.
Yeah, it is a better movie.
So, I wanted to keep the movies out of my list because I figure you're probably going to have a pretty movie-centric kind of list. I was thinking about times in my life I've experienced something that was amazing, and then the next one comes out, and you're like, what the what? What is this now? And your voice goes really high.
My voice. My voice is so high.
I know that's what happened to me whenever I played Super Mario Brothers 2 for the NES.
Oh, yeah. I remember this, man. I remember the Nintendo Power cover for it. And just being like, what's this gonna be?
Yeah, dude. I mean, to go from the original, which of course is one of the most historic, legendary games of all time, and then being like, I don't know, you can play as these 4 different characters, and the soundtrack is mostly kind of gypsy jazz, and you pull up turnips, and there's potion bottles, and you go, I think don't you go to Egypt in some part, or is that the Game Boy one? I know you do.
You go to a desert world, an ice world. There's like a wind level. Oh, I think that's the ice level as well. It has the wind because you get pushed around on the ice.
Oh, dude, it's so hard, man. And then of course, like you could also play as the princess who has the float jump. Dude, if you weren't playing as her every time, you're a sucker.
Well, I've seen the world record for beating it, and it's mostly Mario and Toad.
Really?
Is what they use. Yeah, because Toad he pulls up things faster and digs faster.
I see.
Maybe it's Luigi and Toad. I can't remember.
Okay.
But yeah, Luigi makes sense because he can jump further.
Well, I guess too, if you're speed running, that float jump just eats up time.
Yeah, it does. It's really slow. That's, I think, what's the rationale. But that movie or that game, it really was. It was like so different than Mario in a way that was like fun still.
Yeah.
Because like, say, Legend of Zelda 2 in comparison to the first Legend of Zelda, so different. And it had its moments, but it was just not fun in the way Zelda was fun.
Zelda 2 did not need that change-up to happen. The top-down RPG kind of thing is kind of where Zelda's at home. So,
Yeah, well, I mean, and then later, and we get the more like, I mean, I don't know if you've played the new one. What is it called? Jesus.
Oh, like Breath of the Wild and all that stuff?
Breath of the Wild. Like,
I've heard it's phenomenal.
Gorgeous. And it's like, it's incorporated things that you see in a lot of other RPGs, but it still has the feel of Zelda. Like, they've always kept a good feel, but that second one just is so outside of what the Zelda games normally feel like.
Yeah, and I'll point it out, too, because I already know that somebody out there is muttering this under their breath right now, but the reason that Mario 2 was so different is that was apparently some other game Panic. Entirely.
Yeah,
it
was just a reskin of Doki Doki Panic, which was a Japanese game. They just wanted to get a sequel out to America quickly, because there was a sequel that was eventually released in America that was released in Japan pretty immediately that here was called The Lost Levels.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They didn't release it in America because American gamers thought it was too hard.
It's insanely hard. Are you kidding?
And it is.
It's brutal, man.
Yeah, so they just reskinned an easy game.
Right. Yeah, every now and then a game franchise can go in a different direction entirely than where it started from, and it's a great thing. Like, whenever I think about Castlevania Symphony of the Night, like, that's probably my favorite game ever. And it essentially kind of, it picked up the torch where, you had the original one, which was whipping ghouls and you're in a castle and blah, blah, blah. But it really upped it with that more Metroid-like open map. All the like weapons and RPG elements like magic and hit points and stuff like that.
Embracing all that definitely made the Castlevania series so much better.
Oh yeah, and I think you said the same thing about like the Fallout games, right?
Yeah, Fallout 3 really changed because it's up to Fallout 3. These were like top down, like small sprites sort of games, but Fallout 3 brought it into this huge open world sort of first person view, way better looking graphics, more intimidating looking creatures and things that you run into. It's and it operates in a much different way than the originals did, and it really makes this, because those originals are great and fun, and I think you can play them for free, pretty sure, on the Fallout website. So like, if you've never played those originals, they're really fun and interesting. But Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, like that shift into these like first person games makes them some of my favorite games of all time.
Wow, man. Even you talking about that too kind of reminded me as well that the Grand Theft Auto series was not always the open world crazy shit that it is now.
That first game was, I remember playing it and loving it so much, but it was just, top down destruction. Yeah. And everything looked about the same. Like the cars didn't look much different. But yeah, then you get to San Andreas and it's fucking awesome.
Dude, and when like Vice City and stuff came out, holy shit, man. You couldn't go to anybody's house and not see that. Like during that time period, I think it was around that same time period, if you went over to any of your friends' houses, it was either they were playing that or they were watching one of the Lord of the Rings movies on TV.
That was the early 2000s.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, it was great.
It was pretty great, yeah.
Because after either one, then you'd watch Dave Chappelle reruns and everything was great.
Oh, yeah. And your day was awesome.
Yeah.
And you were like, boy, 9/11, huh? That was a bummer.
And you were at a place that wasn't your home, and you were less than 6 feet away from someone.
Oh, yeah. You'd be all up on people. I remember back in the day, we'd just sit on each other's laps for fun.
Yeah, just for the hell of it.
Just for the hell of it. We'd be like, not spreading any virus.
No chance.
Going back to movies, Ben, and particularly horror movies, Sleepaway Camp 2.
Okay, I'll tell you this, man. I forgot that we did that movie on the show.
Yeah. That's how forgettable it is to you.
Yeah, because like anybody that's listened to the show knows, like Sleepaway Camp, the original, is one of our fucking favorites. Yeah. And our episode on that one is one of my favorite episodes that we've ever done, because I think that we did dig deep into the crazy like sexual overtones and stuff like that are in the movie.
There's so much in there.
Yeah, like I know that everybody just kind of thinks of Sleepaway Camp as like, oh, it's the one with the real crazy ending, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, but there's so much more to it.
There's a lot to it. Yeah, there's way more going on there than what meets the eye. And then the second one is just kind of like, I don't know, it's like a tranny that kills people.
To it. Yep. Just a tranny who kills people.
That's kind of it.
That is it. Yeah. That's exactly what happens. And she becomes this Bugs Bunny type of character, and it's Bruce Springsteen's sister as well. That's right. So that's fun. Yeah, I appreciate Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 for what they are, but they are so just off the mark when it comes to the first Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah, that first Sleepaway Camp to me is just one of those movies that didn't need a sequel. That was just a full story. There's nothing really else to say at that point to me.
No. Yeah, it there was no reason for it really except to make more money, and I don't know how those movies didn't make that much money. I don't know how worth it was.
Right? Yeah. All right. The last one that I want to mention then is a musical quantum leap that happened. I know we got some music listeners out there, some people that listen to music notes. And I'll tell you this. The jump that happened from the first Meshuggah full-length album, Contradictions Collapse, to their second full-length album, Destroy, Erase, Improve. I can't even tell you what a crazy shift in tone and style that was. Of course, they were separated by an EP called None, None, which is fucking phenomenal. One of my favorites. But it's just 4 songs. So I'm choosing Destroy, Erase, Improve because that's their next full-length album, you know? Have you ever listened to Contradictions Collapse?
No.
It sounds like if Metallica, like vintage Metallica, took a couple of years off, went to Berkeley, and then wrote And Justice for All.
Okay.
Because it's really technical and like really proggy and like lots of odd time signatures and crazy complicated riffs and all that jazz. And it's really cool. It's like a fun prog thrash record, I guess. But then when you make that leap onto Destroy, Erase, Improve, and they're playing with the polymeters and stuff, and they're playing 7-string guitars, and it's just like, where the fuck did this come from? You know? It's like they predated trends in metal by at least 20 years. Destroy, Erase, Improve came out in 1994. And that's got songs like Future Breed Machine and stuff like that on it that are kind of anthems of their style. And that came out in 94. I mean, Kurt Cobain could have heard that before Courtney Love had him killed.
Yeah, that's true. And maybe that was it. He heard it and he was like, oh man, I got to get away from this grunge and start making music that sounds like music.
Exactly. He's like, Courtney.
And Courtney was like, fuck,
that bold
no.
new sound you've been looking for?
Well, listen to this.
He started playing Sub-Levels or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally out of nowhere, man. Ancient Aliens. I'm just going to go ahead and settle it up right now. The truth for all time. Ancient Aliens.
Ancient Aliens. Yep. All right. Wow. So much sugar. There they are.
Well, you guys be sure to let us know what times one of your favorite entertainment medias has completely flipped the script for a sequel and changed it for the better or the worse. I think we kind of covered a little bit of both of those possibilities here. Let us know over on the Facebook group. Where can they find that Facebook group?
Facebook.com/deadendlovely.
That's right. Join up. Join in the chat. There's all kinds of cool kids. All the cool kids are doing it. Be somebody, baby.
Yeah,
finally. One of us. Yeah, join up there.
One of us.
Chat it up, man, and hang out with us. And hey, while I've got your attention, go on iTunes, rate and review this show. Helps us out a fuck ton. And we also do a thing where at the end of your review, you can leave a question that we will answer on a future installment of the Preview Palace as like a little FAQ. We did one of those a couple weeks ago. It was really fun. We love hearing from you guys and answering y'all's questions. So rate and review on iTunes. At the end of your review, leave a question. We'll read them and get back with you on a future FAQ.
Hell yeah.
All right, Steve, the subject of today's show is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Part 2, which came out in 1986, I believe?
That is true. It came out in August of 1986, so summer blockbuster.
I was merely a 2-year-old boy, but I saw this movie for the first time, I actually think just probably about 4 years ago. This is actually only the second time that I watched this movie.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was one of those ones where it was a weekend. I didn't have anything to do. Kate was working a long day, and I was like, whatever, I'll watch this. You know? I mean, I was prepared for what I was getting into, so I thought, because I'd seen the original so many times, I figured this would be just as like...
prepared.
No, no. I was anticipating this to be a similarly grim and just fucking brutal movie.
Right.
And I turned it on, and I was just like, oh, he started doing cocaine. Lots of cocaine. Got it.
It's a little bit goofy, for sure.
It's weird,
Goes from just full-on realistic horror to black comedy, basically.
Yeah. Kinda.
I have some there's some reasons that this is the way it is for sure.
Yeah.
And I did some research to look into this to try to figure out kind of why this would happen, because this came out the same month as Friday the 13th Part 6, which is one of my absolute favorite Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
But it is goofy as shit.
Yeah, I guess by this time a lot of the franchises had started kind of embracing the silliness between Freddy and Jason, huh?
Yeah, Friday the 13th Part 6 is the one that starts with the paintball in the woods and the corporate retreat, and actually starts with Jason being resurrected by a lightning bolt and becoming superhuman.
Yeah.
And then he kills all those people at the corporate retreat, and then like it begins us down the path of the next movie where we have the girl with psychic powers.
Yeah, dude. Yep.
Yeah, like
that's a weird one.
And then Jason goes to hell, and Jason X, like it begins down a path of goofiness. 7 months after this would be when Dream Warriors came out, which is when Freddy becomes quippy.
Right. Okay. So I was wrong in saying that Freddy had become kind of a quippy character by this point. Okay.
The part 2 had just come out a little bit before this.
I forget how like far behind Freddy series was from Jason.
To Friday the 13th. Yeah, because those Friday the 13th movies, they came out one a year.
Them out, yeah.
But I looked back then at 1985 and I saw like where this is coming from. I mean, definitely this is all an extension from American Werewolf in London, which came out in 81. The move toward horror and comedy. But like 1985, you got movies like Fright Night, which is a meta comedy at times. Return of the Living Dead, which is full of comedy. Reanimator, which is full of comedy. And Teen Wolf. Like all those movies that just come out in 1985, and most of them were successful. So if you're looking to make a sequel of an already successful horror movie, you can either and you can learn from the mistakes of Friday the 13th and some other series, Halloween, for instance. You can learn from their sequel mistakes, and you see what's going on in horror. The best move seems like black comedy if you're trying to make money, which is definitely what happened here, because this is a Canon film, Ben.
Oh, a Canon?
Yes, Canon Films. So that's one of the documentaries I watched for this. Was Electric Boogaloo, and it's the story of Canon Films. And
wow!
I highly recommend it.
Okay.
Basically, if you don't know anything about Canon Films,
I don't.
Canon Films was started by Menachem Golan and I can't remember the other dude's name. Anyway, they were successful in Israel in making movies.
Was it him and the Globus guy?
Yeah, yes, that's
okay. Clearly, these names are space aliens trying to integrate themselves and disguise themselves as humans. Those are not human names,
right?
Obviously.
So they're coming from Israel, where they're making these movies that are kind of like they want to make Hollywood films, but they don't have the full understanding of how that happens.
Well, back then it's like Hollywood was all that there was for making movies.
Right.
I mean, we live in the age of like independent cinema, and fucking Atlanta just down the road is like the new Hollywood and stuff. Yeah. Right.
I mean, other countries, say like England and stuff, were making their own stuff and had been for a while, but like really Hollywood was where people looked to movies. And so like Menachem Golan, after some success in Israel, decides like he wants to move to Hollywood and succeed in Hollywood. And his way of doing that was by basically pulling ideas out of his ass constantly, finding people to fund them, and making them as fast as possible.
You got any examples of what he did?
Well, I mean, some of the movies he did, like, one that always comes to mind is the Masters of the Universe movie. The He-Man movie.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah. That movie that everybody who was into He-Man was so excited for, and then when we watched it, we were like, what the fuck is this?
What the fuck is this thing, man?
Yeah. It made no sense. But the thing is, like, he didn't care if it made sense. He didn't care if the effects looked good. He didn't care if they got the right shots. He cared that they were on time and on budget, and then now we release it.
Wow. Just crank it out.
Just crank it out. He created Chuck Norris's movie career. So all those early Chuck Norris movies were made by Canon. He also was instrumental in Jean-Claude Van Damme's career. But if you look back at those movies, they're terrible fucking movies. They're really bad, poorly made, but it didn't matter to them. That wasn't what it was about. What it was about was if you could crank them out, you can keep getting funding to crank out more, to keep getting funding to crank out more. Like, and that was what they were doing.
It's a self-perpetuating cycle.
Yeah. So, like, really, they got their big break when some new guy took over at MGM, and MGM's distribution schedule had been just decimated. So they had nothing to distribute, and he saw this production company that was just producing more and more movies over and over, so signed a deal with them. So now MGM is distributing these pieces of shit, which puts MGM's name on it, which you see at the beginning of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and now it's legitimized.
Wow.
Yeah. So along the way, there were some movies that were made that were okay, because he either like was working with a director he respected, so they weren't pushing him to do anything in particular. Like sometimes they really did let artists just be artists, but a lot of the times it really was just like crank it out, get it done. We just need another stupid ninja movie, like get it done. And so for about a decade, Canon Films was pushing out tons of movies. In the documentary I was watching, there was a person who said that basically Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 was the beginning of the end for Canon movies, Canon Films. So this movie, it was a $4.7 million budget, and it made $8 million at the box office, but it was just like the margin was so low, and what they expected from it was so high that it really ruined their whole model, kind of. They just were expecting it to make way more money.
Well, that's the weird thing, though, is, the first Texas Chainsaw came out 12 years before this.
Yeah.
I mean, this is in an age where, like you said, we had a new Jason movie every year.
Yeah.
And this waited over a decade. This is like a fucking Tool album release cycle.
Right. Exactly. So, like, there might be a little bit of excitement built by hardcore fans, but most people have probably forgotten the title.
Yeah, really. And do you know if whenever this came out, like, what the public reception was like? Like, were people liking it, or were they like, oh, it's too different from the original, I hate it?
I mean, the critics obviously didn't like it, but the critics didn't really care for the original. It made money. I mean, it made $8 million, but this is in August, and it's obviously going up against a few weeks after Friday the 13th Part 6, and that movie made a lot more money than this. So it doesn't seem like there was as big of a hype for a sequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre as there was to Friday the 13th. Or Nightmare on Elm Street, or any of the other sequels that came out around this time. Like, people just weren't as enthused about it, because I mean, really, there's nothing about the first one that's campy and fun to really play off of for a sequel.
Not in the least, man. And you got to think too, like, especially back then, most of the audiences that were going and watching these classic 80s horror flicks were teenagers.
Yes,
like
and they weren't
like
even alive when that movie came out. Maybe
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like to guys like us that are in our mid-late 30s, it's like we think back 12 years ago and we're like, yeah, I was still an adult back then.
Yeah,
but if you're a 19-year-old going to see this movie, that's a sequel to something that came out 12 years ago.
And this is just at the time that the video rental market is taking off. So
right, yeah, you might not have ever even seen the original.
Right, exactly.
Huh, I hadn't thought about that.
It's a weird move, for sure, but it did make them a little bit of money. It just didn't make them the money they were expecting.
Well, at the same time, they didn't really like bury the lead about the change in tone, judging by the fact that the movie poster, they used as a parody of the Breakfast Club poster.
Yeah, it should be obvious that it's supposed to be a comedy. Yeah. But it apparently wasn't as obvious. It really did kind of... It built a cult following pretty quickly because, as I said, this is the time the video rental market starts to really take off. So, like, it's one of those that did eventually build this huge cult following and made a lot of money in video sales, but it just was a weird timing and a weird choice to make this sequel at this time. But I mean, you got all that you need here. You got Tobe Hooper coming back to direct and Tom Savini doing effects. Like, that should
setup,
be enough, right? Yeah.
And then, of course, the cast, too.
Tobe Hooper hadn't gone away, so other people were still following Tobe Hooper's career. He had just done Life Force before this and something else earlier in '86. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah,
Invaders from Mars.
It's not like he did Texas Chainsaw and he was a one-hit wonder, and then a decade later, here he is.
Of stuff, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so they're the indications that it should be successful, plus having Dennis Hopper. Like,
yeah,
Dennis
the
Hopper,
cast is sick in this.
Yeah, Dennis Hopper's career had been on a downswing, but they caught him right at the time, like right before Blue Velvet came out, and what was the other one? Fuck. Got an Academy Award nomination for it.
Wow.
Anyway,
yeah.
So this came out right around then. So like once Blue Velvet hit, you would think, okay, maybe people are going to be more interested in Texas Chainsaw Massacre now because Dennis Hopper is back. But it just didn't work that way.
Dennis Hopper apparently said this was like the worst movie of his career until the Mario Brothers movie. Which is a real head scratcher too.
Yeah, that one didn't make any sense at all. Yeah. But yeah, it's Dennis Hopper definitely in this. Something's up, right? Like,
yeah,
we know he's supposed to be like clean around this time, but I don't think he is.
Dude, I wonder
Very
about
clearly.
that too, because based on the timeline, he was supposed to have been clean and sober by the time this rolled around. But dude, like, there's scenes where he just looks like fucking shit. Whenever Stretch brings him the tape in the hotel room, he looks like he's coming off of like a week-long bender. Like, he just looks
he does.
terrible. And he doesn't look like the rest of the movie. He doesn't look like that the rest of the movie either. So I'm like, they just caught him on a really bad day. Or maybe that was just symptoms of, kicking the habit and he was having withdrawals. I don't know.
Maybe so. I mean, the thing is, he's great in it. He's fucking insane. Yeah. He's insane. I don't know like how much of it was written and how much of it is just ramblings, but he's great. It's a welcome addition to the movie because that insanity is exactly what you need in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. It's fun to also see, like, obviously Rob Zombie's inspiration for the cop character in Devil's Rejects.
Dude, I was seriously about to say the same thing, man, where it's like a guy that's been driven mad by this person that's killed people that were important to him and becomes kind of an animal himself. Like,
exactly, yeah.
That is exactly that cop character, that Rob Zombie wrote too.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome. I think that's such a cool character. And if it is written that way and like Hopper is just delivering the lines, genius writing. I don't know who came up with this insane person, but they did a great job. But I think a lot of it is just Dennis Hopper like being an insane person.
I think so. And chopping at a log with a chainsaw and singing hymns.
Yeah, and that guy at the store just watching him chop it is so weird, right?
Oh, my aching banana.
What?
What the fuck? Like, what is that about?
Oh, man. So, okay. So, anyway, there's Dennis Hopper. You got Tom Savini effects. You got Tobe Hooper. And then, like, everyone else in the cast... you got the cook coming back from the original. Everyone else in the cast is new.
Right.
I could see why maybe that turned some audiences off. Maybe they were just like, this isn't gonna be great because they can't get the original actors back.
Yeah.
But,
how do you feel about the non-return of Gunnar Hansen as Leatherface?
Well, I think with Gunnar Hansen, it would have been hard for him to convey the comedy that Bill Johnson conveys as Leatherface.
Right.
Because Gunnar Hansen is genuinely intimidating. Like, he's a scary looking guy. I mean, he's obviously seems like was a nice guy, but he just had that intimidating look to him. This guy, he's tall, but the way they have the face, like you can see so much of his facial expressions and stuff, and he doesn't come off as intimidating.
Yeah, this would be kind of like if you had Gunnar Hansen's Leatherface playing Leatherface like he was in the original in this movie, it kind of would have been like Heath Ledger Joker in the original Batman, you know?
Yeah. Or Heath Ledger Joker in Suicide Squad.
Yeah, where it's
just like this is not fit the
working.
Tone.
Yeah, not hitting the tone. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't hate the guy that plays Leatherface in this. He does look quite a bit different. He's got some poofy hair that's kind of questionable.
Most every scene between Leatherface and Stretch, Caroline Williams, who is awesome in this, every one of those scenes is sexual, right?
Yeah.
And there's the indication that he can't get it up, meaning like in the radio scene where they're at the radio station, like he can't get it started. It looks like he's jerking off from one angle, and then they show you from the other angle. It's him like trying to pull the starter, and it's like a very obvious like he can't get it up type of thing. There's this sort of impotence being implied. Okay. The cook later, when they have Stretch like backed in against a wall, this is before the dinner scene. The cook says, "You got one choice, boy, sex or the saw. Sex is, well, nobody knows, but the saw is family."
Yeah. Very odd choices of dialogue, yeah.
None of these guys are all brothers.
Yeah.
None of them are married. Like, it does seem that they are indicating that they don't have sex. Or if they do have sex, they don't have sex with women.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they totally make a big deal about like, oh, Leatherface has brought home a girl for the first time and all that stuff.
Yeah, the first time. Yeah.
Huh.
And, like, first off, we know that there have been girls in the house. We saw the first one. So, like, this is the indication that he's showing sexual interest in a woman for the first time.
I guess so. I mean, it makes sense when you look at it that way.
Yeah. I mean, I was very confused by it, but it all does seem to indicate at the very least that they are asexual. Like that sex is just of no interest to them.
Yeah.
It's sex or the saw, the cook says. So like you either are a cannibal or you can have sex. Like you can't have both, I guess.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way. Actually, that does kind of make sense though, now that you say it.
Yeah. It also plays into my overall theory about this that they actually, their family may have been a matriarchy ahead of time.
Yeah, because you got grandma up there in the shrine, right?
Yeah, and she's like at the top. She is at the height. She's in a shrine, basically. They're worshiping her, and they keep grandpa downstairs with him because he's alive still somehow. But
well, they act like grandma's alive too, though. Like after Stretch takes the saw, Bill Moseley is just like, "You killed her," and it's like she was a corpse. She was already dead.
Yeah, she's way dead. So there's some sort of indication then that maybe, and this is full on speculation. I'm thinking perhaps they lived in such a way that the matriarch of the family chose sons to potentially breed with, because the cook is way older than the other two, but they are called brothers.
Yeah.
Is it possible that there is an incestuous angle going on here?
I mean, they're kind of like backwoods hillbilly cannibals and stuff like that, so that's not out of the question.
Yeah.
And so clearly, ain't none of them right.
No, not a one of them is right. That is true. So, like, this movie just, like, I have never questioned it, never, like, looked deep into it, but on this review, like, I really think there's a lot more to this movie than we give credit for. It's not just a silly, dark comedy. I think that this movie is trying to say something, but not doing it effectively.
Okay, yeah, because it definitely does focus on the family angle, I think, even more than the first one. Clearly, we develop the dynamics of that family much, much more, and they're not just, the enemies that our protagonists are trying to avoid, like they are in the first one. We spend a lot of time with the family as a whole and see the way that they interact with each other. And we get to know those characters and stuff very well, especially Bill Moseley's Chop Top, who I think is really the star of this movie. Like, when you think of Texas Chainsaw, you think of Leatherface, but really, Chop Top dominates this movie.
Okay, so Bill Moseley in no, it wasn't the Canon Films. It was the other documentary I watched, In Search of Darkness, which is about 80s horror movies, which is 4.5 hours long.
Oh, shit. I gotta watch that.
Highly recommend it. It does like a chronological look at the big 80s horror titles.
Oh, dude.
I think it's on that Bill Moseley says that, like, he sent this, he did this, like, thing called the Texas Chainsaw Manicure.
Okay.
With him and his girlfriend, where he played the hitchhiker, and he was able to get it to a screenwriter friend who got it to Tobe Hooper, who really loved it and was like, this is great.
So he just kind of like self-made a little short or something.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Had he worked as an actor before this?
I don't think before he had sent that tape that he had. This is, I think, his second credited role.
Word.
So, yeah. Anyway, he sent this, and Tobe Hooper just basically kept it in the back of his head, and then when they were developing Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 and found out that they wouldn't get the actor who played the hitchhiker back, which was their original plan, was to have the hitchhiker back, and he was going to be called Platehead, and he was going to have the plate in his head because his head got ran over by the truck at the end.
Yeah, at the end, right.
But he didn't want to come back, and so they contacted Bill Moseley, and of course he jumped at the role and goes all in and is maybe the star of the entire movie, right?
Boy, howdy, does he ever go all in, man. It's one of those deals that, like, when we were watching this movie last night, it was the first time that Kate had seen it, and I told her, in advance, it's like, oh, it's different. It's way different than the first one. And once we get to the scenes like in the radio station there where Chop Top shows up, he gets on screen and starts talking to Kate's like, I know his voice from something.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, yeah, that's fucking Otis. That's
Bill Moseley.
Bill Moseley. Yeah. And she's like, no way. And he really just disappears into that role of Chop Top. He's completely batshit insane, man.
Yep. And he was improvising a ton of those lines, especially when he's like hitting people, when he was hitting the LG in the radio station.
Incoming mail.
Yeah. Apparently Tobe Hooper just kept the camera rolling. And then, like, he thought, like, Bill Moseley thought he was doing something wrong. But actually, it was just Tobe Hooper was thoroughly entertained by it. Thought it was great.
Keep going.
Yeah. So, there's that. I mean, Bill Moseley really nails it. There's not much about the movie that I would really complain about as far as any sort of horror movie goes. It's just it is a strange sequel to the original.
Yeah.
It's hard to see the connections. I really put some time into this because those guys at the beginning say they're going to the Red River Showdown. So I know that this is supposed to be set in 1986. So the first day that we see, I can say with almost 100% certainty, is October 10th, 1986.
86.
So
okay.
Yeah, because the Red River Showdown is the game between the University of Texas and University of Oklahoma. It's huge, gigantic game. They say that they're coming from, like, McKinley High School. That's in the northern panhandle of Texas. That's why they're going through Oklahoma to get to Texas. Because they're going to Dallas. This definitely is playing off of something that people who live in Texas would probably understand. I know the panhandle has a whole lot of, like, oil fields and stuff, so I'm guessing these are supposed to represent some sort of oil billionaires, like rich, spoiled-ass kids who are just driving a Mercedes with a license plate that says "fuck you" and shooting shit out the windows as they go. Like, there's some sort of representation of a Texas stereotype or a Midwest stereotype that I don't think registers now very easily, but probably was more recognizable then. I mean, the fact that they have a car phone seems like a big deal to me, but then the cook has a car phone. But then I remember that they steal shit from people, so that makes sense. But they have a car phone. That's like 1986 with a fucking car phone?
Yeah.
You had to be rich, right?
Totally.
Yeah, so they're driving to Texas, get stopped in Oklahoma. Now, I don't know what where, because it is a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but this is an Oklahoma radio station, right?
Yeah.
So I think, because I know that Tobe Hooper is a University of Texas alumni, I think he's playing somewhat on this Texas-Oklahoma rivalry, which is interesting. I like a fun little thing to throw into a horror movie, but like I don't know what it's getting at. What's the point of it? It wasn't really just that they had this cool, fun black comedy script, but like Tobe Hooper just couldn't help but throw in these little breadcrumbs to try to make it seem like there was more to connect. Well, Ben, Grandpa's looking good 13 years later.
He's fresh as a rose on his liquid diet. He's looking good. He's feeling good. He definitely does look a lot better in this movie than he did in the OG. In the OG, I'm just like, is he supposed to be
dead?
Mummified?
Right.
A corpse? Like, what the fuck is he?
Yeah, he's improved somehow in the past
spry.
13 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whatever he's doing, I'm going to say it's working. Maybe they've got him doing some chair aerobics or something up there.
Maybe it's that young woman blood. That's all you need.
It might be that.
Yeah.
Dude, the facial cast and stuff they did for him, and like the way his fucking teeth and his eyes and everything look is really grim.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Tom
I like
Savini.
that they kept him like non-verbal and stuff.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, the kind of just complete retread of the dinner scene and the whole like, he's a one-hitter. He used to be the greatest in the game. Here, let's put a woman over a pail and have Grandpa try to hit her over the head with a hammer.
Yeah, it's exactly the same as the first one.
That was a little on the nose to me.
Like cartoonish and over the top. Just, I think it serves as a good illustration that this is a dark comedy, because there's no way you would just repeat what you did in a horror movie, but with more light and like a less intense soundtrack and expect it to get a horror reaction. Like it's definitely played for comedy, but it's, I don't know. Yeah, it is just a definite, like there are so many things in this that seem to mirror the first movie, but it's I think trying to overblow it and make it comical and make it ridiculous.
I think so too, for sure, man. And one character I think I definitely could have done with less of is the fucking cook.
Is that right?
Dude, there's so much of him in this movie, and all that he does, which I guess it's kind of similar to what he does in the first movie, but there's just less of it in the first movie. All he does is just like bitch at the other people and gripe at them and complain and bitch and moan and call names and God, he's fucking annoying, dude.
Yeah, I mean he's the most consistent character. He's exactly like he was in the first one.
Yeah,
but
you just get a lot more of him.
Yeah, and now he's good at cooking chili. Before it was barbecue. Now why is it chili now?
Hey, that's true. They did change it up, didn't they?
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, it should have been a barbecue cook.
Maybe he was always a chili man, but barbecue sells better.
It might be that.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, he's great and very effective in that he does totally get under your skin and stuff. But god damn, man, he's like
gets
fucking,
under your skin. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like Franklin in the original or something. You know?
Right. Yeah.
Chop Top has his. Sorry.
No, go ahead. That's fine.
No, it's okay. Chop Top also has his moments too, where he does get very fucking annoying. All that like Nam Land, and he's walking around with a corpse and all that stuff.
Yeah,
he gets really annoying, man. Which also just kind of goes to show you, it's like, oh, Rob Zombie watched this and was like, cool, put annoying characters in your movie. Got it.
Yeah, and then he created Baby, and that was it. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Is he took the annoying bit out of the Bill Moseley and gave us like Chop Top without annoying is what we get from Bill Moseley and not Devil's Rejects, but the first one. What was that?
Thousand Corpses, yeah.
The House of a Thousand Corpses. That's the Bill Moseley we would get there, and then he becomes a more definite character in Devil's Rejects. But like, yeah, it really is him just sort of set like House of a Thousand Corpses is really him just sort of picking apart Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah, totally,
seems.
man. But you know,
Yeah.
I will say too, like I love a lot of the characterization and stuff that Moseley put into that role, and just all the weird shit where it's like, whenever you meet him, he's wearing that like hippie outfit and the Sonny Bono wig, and he's like lighting that coat hanger and scratching his head with it, and sometimes like biting little bits off of whatever he scratches off his head. It's just like, what the fuck is going on here? And also, he looks like a damn zombie or something. Like he looks like a fucking corpse.
He does. Yeah. Yeah, and again, that would have all made more sense if it were the original Hitchhiker. Like like the design and stuff would have all made more sense, because you'd be like, oh yeah, that guy's supposed to be dead. Like,
right. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and then you can also just kind of explain away. It's like, oh, he wasn't. Yeah, he went to Vietnam and shit like that. Like there's a lot of like Vietnam kind of references and stuff here. I guess that Chop Top is supposed to be kind of a returning soldier from Vietnam who's been in the shit.
Right. So he was gone during the events of the original.
Right.
That's the explanation. And but really, he's just taking over the role.
I do like though that they did even keep the corpse of the hitchhiker in here.
Yeah,
and like
and he
the corpse
dances around with him and stuff.
Yeah, and the corpse of Franklin in the wheelchair and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like the returning characters are mostly corpses.
Well, yeah, and that's a good joke. Like, I really think that's funny. Like, the idea of the sequel is so ridiculous, because who would even be coming back? It would just be Leatherface and the cook would be the only ones alive. So, like, yeah, to have it be surrounded by corpses is perfect.
Yeah, I think so. And I even love that first appearance that we get of, again, the hitchhiker and Leatherface when they're like doing that crazy highway chase scene with the two annoying frat kids and stuff. Yeah. And like you don't even get Leatherface at first. It's just like this weird zombie corpse holding a chainsaw on top of this car, and you realize it's like, oh, Leatherface is like wearing this person.
Yeah, it's like a reanimation of a dead old idea. It's a joke about the movie itself. It's a meta joke. Like,
I guess so. Yeah, when you look at it that way, it is.
Yeah, it would be easy for me to see someone watching this and be like, I don't see how this is a comedy, because it's so dark. Like, it's a very, very, very dark comedy. It's very brutal and gory, but over the top in a way that you never really buy into it if you're a horror fan. But I imagine there could be some non-horror fans who would watch this and be like, I do not see what you would laugh about in watching this movie. What is wrong with you?
And dude, all those characters like Grandpa and Chop Top and the corpse and all that stuff are brought to life by, once again, the Wizard of Gore, Tom motherfucking Savini.
Hell yeah.
And his effects in this, obviously, of course, are fantastic.
Yeah, and apparently there was supposed to be a scene where the family, the Sawyer family, goes out and massacres like a bunch of people, and Tom Savini had these super elaborate effects, and they ended up getting cut for time. Because, I mean, it, like, when you read about it, it's like, oh yeah, when would they even do that? When would they throw that in? It makes sense that they cut it, but it's also, it sucks to hear that his best effects or his most elaborate effects were cut completely from the movie. But you can see that. There is a version of it. I didn't get a chance to watch it because it's hard enough to find Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 anywhere right now.
Yeah,
apparently.
I had to sign up for a week trial of Stars. Like, you can't even, I think you can rent it on iTunes, but I don't have an Apple TV or whatever, so you can't even like rent it or buy it on Amazon. So I had to do like a Stars, free trial or whatever.
Yeah, so I didn't get a chance to watch that, but it has been restored as well as having a cameo from Joe Bob Briggs.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, that got cut. But Joe Bob Briggs was in this movie originally.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's interesting, though, that Tom Savini and Tobe Hooper coming together. Like, I always forget that Tom Savini did the effects for this. And they're really good, but it's like, when I think back to this movie, a lot of times I sort of just dismiss it as like, it was just sort of a comedy thing. But like, the effects are so good.
Yeah, like, dude, especially the ones that stand out to me are after, who's the radio boss guy? LG, I think is his name.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Whenever he gets like skinned alive and then comes back.
It looks so good. Yeah.
Oh
that
my
looks
God,
so good.
dude. It's fucking so brutal, man. Like, you can see his, musculature and tendons and stuff, and like the facial prosthetic like moves really well even as he's talking, but also you get the impression that like he can't really talk that well because his face has been cut off.
Right, yeah.
Oh, man, so impressive. And even like during the intro there, whenever that one kid's head gets kind of like sliced in half while he's driving the car, and it slowly slides off, and then eventually he's got like half a head, but his hands are still on the wheel, and he's squirting blood everywhere. That's a great effect. I also really love during the chainsaw fight, Leatherface gets like impaled with a chainsaw and keeps fighting.
Yeah.
God, it looks so awesome, man. But it extends out beyond just the obvious special effects and stuff like that, even into the what I would call the set dressing and stuff, where like you've got all these human parts hanging from the ceiling and shit like that. Like the set design in this is sick.
And the lighting is insane. Like, it is every light source they could find, basically. Like, there's even a stoplight in there. Like, just anything that emitted light is what they put in their tunnels, and it's awesome. Like, it's got that real sort of Goonies feel at times.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, this underground cave that's still like lit really well and stuff.
Yeah. But it also reminded me of the 1990s Saturday morning science show Beakman's World. It reminded me of the set dressing of Beakman's World so much.
It absolutely is. I didn't even think about that.
And I have to assume that the people from Beakman's World were working off of Texas Chainsaw Massacre too.
Well, I mean,
right?
clearly this is like a movie that did inspire quite a cult following, when you've even got like Jero is a race car driver by Primus, which samples Bill Moseley saying "Dog will hunt" before the guitar solo and stuff. Yeah, like this is kind of a cult movie already by this point. I even wonder too if like Chop Top's metal plate in his head was maybe some kind of weird inspiration for the mom and Pete having the metal plate in her head. You remember that?
Yes. I hope so. I hope that's true, because I mean, Pete was real fucked up weird.
Real fucking weird,
I would believe
man.
it, yeah.
God, I love that show so much, man.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I might just go back on like YouTube or something and see if I can find some old episodes of that, because I think about that show like all the time. It's so funny to me, man. But yeah, the sets and everything are great, but at times they're really confusing too, because
they are.
Most of this movie, like probably half the movie, takes place in these underground catacombs. It's not in a Texas farmhouse in the middle of a field in the middle of nowhere. Okay, where the fuck are they? Because it shows whenever they're driving in, you have this big sign that says like Texas Battle Land, which I assume is maybe some kind of amusement park attraction. Like, I don't know what the fuck it is.
Not sure. Yeah, it's very strange, and like it seems to have a ton of different things that would go in an amusement park or a fairground or something. But why are there all the tunnels?
I don't know.
Like, did they dig these tunnels? Have they looted a fairground? Like, what is going on? Where is this?
I really wondered if this is just something where, like, my attention span shifted for a second, and I missed it where they said, oh, they're at the old Texas Alamo Battle Museum that goes underground. Like, I didn't know if I missed something here.
Because, like, I know at the beginning, driving in, the one dude is shooting signs, and there are signs for several different attractions.
Okay.
But I don't know. That must be what that was supposed to be indicating. So yeah, there was something about Alamo Battleground or whatever, but there's no way. Again, they're in North Texas. They're on the border of Oklahoma. There's no way the Alamo is not there.
No, not even close. But the thing is the movie is so batshit crazy that you just kind of go with it, and you're like, yeah, they're underground now. There's Christmas lights in these tunnels and corpses hanging up.
You buy it. Yeah.
Because nothing else makes sense, so go for it.
I never really questioned it because I've seen this since I was a kid, and now that you're making me question it, it's like, yeah, what the fuck? Where are they? What is going on? Like, what if they... Obviously, they've left their old house probably... because one of those truckers got away and reported what was going on. Oh, and Sally got away. Though I think she's supposed to be catatonic whenever they do talk to her, and she doesn't.
Yeah.
I think that's the lore that we get later.
Well, I think they said somewhere in there that the old farmhouse, the old family house burnt down or something like that, too. Right. It's like a really just off the cuff, not important line.
Yeah. So they're hiding out, I would assume, right? But they would not have the time to dig all those tunnels. But they do look to be rickety-ass tunnels.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the implication. The past 13 years, they've been building these underground tunnels and stealing shit from those different attractions that we saw the signs for and using that to decorate their weird tunnel house.
And eating people.
Oh, and also eating people. And building a shrine to Grandma at the top where she gets, I guess it's like a ceremonial chainsaw.
I mean, they come from a long line of chainsaw people, I guess.
Yeah.
Although, Leatherface is the only one that ever wields a chainsaw. Like, the way that the cook and stuff talks about it, you think
the saw is family, but...
Yeah. But he's kind of the only one that does it. So... What?
Yeah.
I don't get it. But, the thing is, too, though, is that is kind of interesting when you think about... In the first one, we talked a little bit about how... Leatherface takes on the matriarchal role and puts on the woman face and the apron and the wig and stuff like that.
And even makes feminine noises when he's wearing that wig and face. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So maybe it is the role in this family that the matriarch is the one that wields the ultimate power, the chainsaw.
Holy shit. Yeah, that is it. And so
nobody else
their
has
chosen matriarch because they don't have a woman to be that matriarch. Yeah. And when they do bring in women, they just feed her blood to Grandpa.
I guess so. Huh. Yeah, so I guess really Leatherface is the matriarch here.
Yeah, I guess so. I think that makes the most sense.
I guess so.
Wow.
Huh. What do you know?
What do you know? Now it makes me want to rewatch Leatherface because I know Leatherface spreads more with the family. Leatherface is again a dark movie, not a comedy like this, though it has comedic moments for sure. But it also has more family members and stuff, and they're out in a cabin in the woods.
Okay,
yeah. I'll have to rewatch that to see where they take it because it's really only those three movies, and then part 4, New Beginning. Those are their own. Canon, and then all the other Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies that have come out are their own separate canon.
Okay,
because
I was wondering
those go
about that.
deep into the family lore and stuff, and it's really not that cool or interesting.
Well, that's the thing is in this one, when Leatherface gets impaled with a chainsaw, which I totally didn't remember. Kate and I were both doesn't he come back in other movies?
Yeah, I mean, he's back in part 3 for sure, and part 4.
So I guess they're just not really acknowledging that then, huh?
Yeah, and part 4 goes more into the cross-dressing and stuff, too. But it's also, it's a weird fucking movie. It's got Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey and Jeff,
it's that
Jeff
one,
Nelson.
yeah. Weird, man.
Yes.
One thing that struck me about this too is while the original had a very minimal soundtrack, I mean, calling it a soundtrack is a stretch because it's really just slaughterhouse noises and weird mechanical whirrings and screeches. Yeah, it's is that a soundtrack exactly? Meanwhile, this movie has I guess there's kind of one soundtrack original piece here, which sounds like 8-bit boss battle music.
Yes.
It's like super synthy, and you get treated to the whole thing over those opening credits, which are boring as fuck, dude. The opening credits are so
boring.
long, and it's just a black screen with text saying who made the movie. Like, you couldn't give me overhead aerial views of Texas, like crime scene photos, like nothing.
Yeah, I mean, the original starts with, first off, a great voiceover by John Larroquette, whereas this starts off with a narration.
Yeah, that kind of gets some of the facts wrong, where it's like they ran out of gas, and it's like, no, they didn't. They went to their family home. They didn't run out of gas.
They were low on gas, and that's why they couldn't leave. So that is kind of true. But
okay, so according to the crime scene, it could have looked like they ran out of gas.
They ran out of gas, yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, like the original starts with the slow like light, like we hear like the flashes of the bulbs going off, and see like corpse parts and things. Like, that's so interesting and draws you in. Whereas this, it's just black screen, red text. Here you go.
Synth music.
Movie is a happening.
Yeah, and the rest of the soundtrack is all like actual music.
Yeah, Timbuk 3 got 2 songs on here. Neither one of them is their hit. What is that? Fuck.
Which
Future
band?
So Bright I Gotta Wear Shades.
Which
That's
band
Timbuk
is it?
3.
I don't know
Timbuk
them,
3.
dude.
Yeah, well, they did My Future So Bright I Gotta Wear Shades. So
okay, right on, man. Huh. Yeah, the soundtrack in this is just kind of goofy and kind of whatever. I mean, it's, obviously it's like they couldn't really use super hot licensed music because of budget.
No.
But yeah, the original score, not really killer in my opinion.
No, it's nothing amazing. But if you had something like the original, it would really undercut a lot of the comedy. Because the original, like, it just keeps you on edge all the time with those like noises and things. Like,
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super.
So yeah,
super
I think it's probably a smart idea to not have something like that, but it could have been way better, for sure.
Is this a scary movie?
Depends. I mean, I think it plays on a lot of fears that women have to deal with, for sure.
Okay, yeah.
Like sexual assault, big, strong men being bigger and stronger, like not being able to escape. I think Caroline Williams does a great job. I think Stretch, the character, plays Leatherface like a boyfriend. Like she's really smart about it. And we're seeing, I think, like this veneration of female skill.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot going on there for sure.
Okay, yeah. I mean, she does keep herself alive at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and not only alive, but now she has the fucking ceremonial chainsaw, and she's the one. Like, I don't know if you notice, like, I call it the gorilla arms. Bill Johnson, is that his name? Bill Johnson? Yeah, Bill Johnson in this, like, for some reason keeps raising the chainsaw above his head and doing like these monkey arm.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, he does.
And then she does it at the end. Like, she is now like the dominant one. She is fucking not only survived but won, dominated.
Yeah, I guess so. And she kind of also sort of imitates the Leatherface chainsaw dance at the end of the original too.
Yeah. So like, I think there's a lot there about like she's winning. Like, she's using her skill and ability to manipulate them and to use his obvious sexual interest in her against him.
Yeah, to her advantage.
Yeah. So it's like, because with Marilyn Burns from the first one, she is so great, but like she really is just running and screaming the whole time.
Oh yeah.
Whereas Stretch is putting some plans together and stuff. Like that chase scene between her and Chop Top, that was really well choreographed, I thought. Like,
yeah, it was. Totally.
It had like a good sort of like flow to it, and showed like how intelligent she was and how like she was thinking of different ways to escape and how he was, more familiar with the territory, but she was still capable of getting away from him at least long enough to get to the chainsaw.
Man, they're at the end too, where she's trying to start the chainsaw, and he's like just slashing at her back. It's
which
so
is again
brutal.
Yeah, a mirror back to the first one, where that's what is going on when she's running down the road. He's just slashing her back with the razor.
Oh yeah, I guess so. I didn't think about that. Yeah,
I think this one it really does. It goes from a film that is about like the fragility of humanity to a film that is about how badass a woman can be. Like it's like to make it a bit lighter than the original, and to, instead of the woman at the end be a screaming mess, have the woman be like the final one, not just final girl, but the final person. They all seemingly are killed, right?
Yeah. The grenade went off, and then I guess she knocked Chop Top down the chute and stuff there. Yeah.
So like I think, it's almost a way of making up for the final girl of Texas Chainsaw Massacre not being this like strong sort of character that we got in, say, Halloween.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, even though she's not excessively strong in Halloween, she is still like strong and smart. Like, she makes good decisions. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's something I was going to ask you about too, is like, do you like the end of the movie? Because like there's this huge dramatic buildup. There's this cat and mouse sort of chase. The tunnel caves in, all that other kind of stuff. There's the fight with the grandma's chainsaw and all that. And then the movie is just kind of like, it's over.
The end. Yeah. I do. I think it's good. Yeah, I do. Because I don't want I wouldn't want an epilogue of her talking to the cops or whatever. I mean, what would the epilogue be is kind of what I'm thinking. I feel like that's a good place to stop. Like, that's it. The end.
Yeah, it is abrupt, but at the same time, it's kind of like you're saying. It's like, well, where could they have gone exactly if she beats Chop Top, and then she goes down to the rubble underground, and it's like, well, everybody's dead here.
Yeah.
Where could you go?
The end. Yeah, I mean, I guess the only thing you would do there is to cut to Leatherface and show his eye open or something to indicate there's going to be another film. But I don't think Tobe Hooper wanted to do another. I think he wanted to end it here. And that's why he has everybody get killed. But then again, Leatherface happens a few years later. So
right. I do say that I think that it could have used a little editing. I think that, I mean, it's like an hour 41, I think.
Yeah, it does seem like, even though they cut out those two slaughter scenes, it seems like they're just some small snips here and there that could have at least got it down to 135 or so.
I think so too. It's like there's just a lot of scenes of just like, just some minor dialogue, or even like the cook like talking to himself and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's fine, but I pretty well know how this character works by now. I don't necessarily need to spend more time with them hearing their inner monologue to themselves to understand this character. And I definitely don't need more of like Chop Top running around being an asshole and making the movie longer.
Right. I think, though, that probably has to do with what we were saying, that the assumption would probably be from the production side, a lot of people that see this aren't going to know the first movie.
Yeah.
So maybe you do have to retread some territory because of the audience you're anticipating. I mean, now you wouldn't have to do that, but then probably more likely. I mean, you look back at TV shows in the 80s and early 90s, like the pre-streaming period, even pre-period where you would get movies on VHS or get shows on VHS, they would do so much reminding you of what happened in previous episodes if it was a serial show.
Right.
Because the assumption is you watched it a week ago and you couldn't possibly have seen a rerun of it. So they have to remind you. Like, I think that is what's going on here with that. And like, if you were to cut that, it wouldn't hurt the movie at all.
Yeah, that's true.
Audiences now can just watch them back to back or whenever they want.
Yeah. I feel like it could have been trimmed down a little bit. Like, again, it's like it's a reasonably suspenseful movie. Like, there's not necessarily a ton of what I would call scary stuff in it. There's a few good jumps in there. Like, I love whenever they're in the radio station and Leatherface like pops out from the records room and stuff like that. Like, you thought she was alone in the radio station with Chop Top, and then like they're in the records archives where Leatherface like busts out. Like, that's a really good scare and stuff.
Yeah, it is. And when he comes through the wall like Kool-Aid Man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was really good. Like, because that's I think I've talked about this before. It's just that like the concept in horror movies that walls stop people. Like, walls aren't that much. Like, when you build a wall, you realize how much empty space is in a wall. So it was cool to see, like, oh yeah, they have exploited that before. And I think when we did Mandy, during the chainsaw fight, I was like, I don't know if I've ever seen a chainsaw fight. I have seen a chainsaw fight. It was in this.
With a buck wild Dennis Hopper.
Yeah, so like, this movie has some cool, like, interesting elements to it that, like, really do play with some fun parts of horror that maybe hadn't been played with a lot. But it again, like, yeah, it's not scary. It's not going to stick with you, I don't think.
Yeah, and it doesn't give you that, like, I need to take a long hot shower feel that the first one does.
Yeah, you don't feel dirty after it either. Yeah.
And I'll say that that's a good thing and a not good thing. I mean, the fact that that first TCM is so effective and just so, like, good Lord, it's just like sensory overload, you know? It's so depraved in a lot of ways, and this one isn't really. This is an easier watch than part one, and maybe that's good and maybe that's bad.
Yeah, I'd say for sure that it's probably good for a lot of people. I don't think that Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, is infinitely rewatchable.
It's grueling, dude.
Yeah, but I think you can rewatch this over and over and just enjoy it. So it's got that to it for sure.
Sure, man.
If we're getting to the point where we're summarizing, I would say, like, really when it comes down to it, this movie is so shockingly different from its original, but it's a good thing on its own. Like, it is fun and funny at moments, and the gore is great. There's some good tension. Like, I really I can't complain about it. It's just so weird when you think about it in context of the first movie.
Right, totally.
Yeah. So, I mean, if I had to give this a rating, I know I gave the original a 10 for sure. But for me, like, this movie is a good time. I get a good bit annoyed by Chop Top. The cook is a little annoying to me too. Like, there are bits about this that annoy me, and I do think it's a little bit too long. But overall, it is it's a wild ride. Like, it's worth the watch for sure. So I'm gonna give this like a 7.5.
7.5. Okay, I think that's pretty fair, honestly, because it's like you said, it's like there's not really a lot to complain about. Super crazy, over the top performances by Dennis Hopper and Bill Moseley, and what's her name that plays Stretch? She's fucking fantastic.
Caroline Williams.
Yeah, I think we kind of underplayed her in this movie because she really does do a great job of being at times confident, at times super scared. She's got like a great scream and stuff. Like, she really does a very good job in this flick and brings a lot to it.
Real quick about her. Apparently, for her audition, whenever she got called for the audition, like at the actual place, she went to the end of the hallway and came running from the end of the hallway, burst through the doors, and then was like screaming and stuff, and got both of the guys to help her barricade the door, like Toby Hooper and whoever else was there, one of the producers, got them to help her barricade the door. Like, that was her way of auditioning, showing that she can do pure terror and really sell it to you.
Dude, that's awesome.
So that's really cool. Like, she does such a great job.
Holy shit. Yeah, that's fantastic. I didn't know that. But, at the same time, it's like, it's one of those movies where, like you said, you've got characters like the cook and Chop Top that are so memorable but yet overbearing and obnoxious at times that it's kind of hard to find, like, what's the right time to watch this movie? Like, what is my mood whenever I'm like, I'm in the mood to watch TCM2? It's kind of hard to say, honestly.
Right,
But
I think you put it on at a Halloween party, maybe.
it's one of those, right?
Yeah.
Or, as I experienced last night whenever we watched this again, you watch it with somebody who has only ever seen the first one and has never seen this one. Like, it's really fun to watch this movie with somebody for the first time for them.
For them to be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck is going on? Like, the whole movie, like, I was watching it with Kate, and, it's like every, 10 minutes, she'd be like, what the fuck is this? Like, what's going on? It's really fun to watch this as somebody and experience someone seeing this movie for the first time. So, like, that's a great time to watch this flick. But it's not one that I'm going to, like, go back and rewatch at any old time, It's not as, like, draining as the first one. I mean, the first one is just, like, god damn, just so fucking nuts and so deranged that, you really got to kind of prep yourself whenever you're going to watch that movie. This movie is just so fucking weird, man. It's crazy, but in a completely different way.
Yeah.
But still really cool and really memorable. And again, great special effects, great sets and stuff like that too. I think that I would probably give this one about a 6.5. I'm going to go a little bit lower.
6.5.
Yeah, maybe 6.5, something like that. I know this is one of those ones that has a huge cult following.
Yeah.
And I understand why. But like I said, for me, the rewatchability and stuff like that, it's not
pretty
really
low.
going to be anything that I go and rewatch anytime soon.
Yeah, I get it. I definitely, I give it a point for nostalgia. It is one that I've liked since I was a kid. So it's not exceptional, but still worth a watch.
Right on, man. Well, that was a fun one to talk about and stuff. I think we plumbed some new depths of that one and found out some cool shit about it. I'm excited to talk about next week's movie that we're going to be doing here on the show, too. This is one that came out, I believe, last year, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So it should be able to be found pretty easily on your streaming sites.
It's on HBO.
HBO?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Or you could probably rent it on Amazon or whatever.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about Ma!
Oh, hey, Ma!
I'm excited to watch this.
It's about an Italian lady and her sons.
Oh,
Ma! No, it's actually Octavia Spencer, and I watched it a few months ago, and I was like, oh, this is actually really cool. Like, because I thought the previews had given it all away.
Me too. That's why I didn't see it in the theaters. I was like, man, the preview just kind of showed me the whole fucking movie.
Yeah. So I think it's worth a watch. I won't say much more because we're gonna do an entire podcast about it. So.
All right, then. I'll look forward to it, man. Yeah, it should be fun. We'll tune in to that one and give it a good, strong, deep dive review next week on Dead and Lovely. In the meantime, you guys can follow us on the social media.
At Dead Lovely Pod on Twitter and Instagram. We got Facebook.com/Dead and Lovely. Head on over there. We've also got Patreon.com/Dead and Lovely. This movie we did today was a Patreon pick.
Yeah, damn right.
We just randomly drew it from submissions from our $5 Patreon patrons. So if you want to decide which movies we cover, head on over there, become a $5 patron, throw something in this bowl I've been drawing from, and maybe we'll cover your movie next month.
Boom, shakalaka. That's damn right there. Yeah, you guys be sure to rate and review on iTunes. Tune into the show next week. Yada, yada, yada. Hope you guys have been having a good time, staying super healthy, staying horrified by some super fun, scary movies, and washing hands and wiping your ass, y'all.
Gotta make sure.
Cover them bases. Well, we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks so much for tuning in. We have been Uncle Ben.
Hollywood Steve.
You guys have been Dead and Lovely. We'll catch y'all next time.
Bye.
Can you just imagine the scene in really just within the next few years? You're going to be at a traffic light.
Uh-huh.
And like a couple of good old boys, just some good old redneck boys, are going to pull up next to you in their big, crazy Tesla truck.
Yeah.
And they're going to be probably like blaring, I don't know, let's just say Old Town Road or something like that.
Yeah.
What a bold new world that'll be, right?
Yeah, that'll really. I mean, honestly, that was the future I think Dr. King saw in his dream. It was rednecks revving up that Tesla engine and listening to Old Town Road.
Guys in a electric truck supporting gay black men.
They'd have to add like a sound to it to make it sound loud to sell it to rednecks.
Like add in like a sound effect in the muffler or something.
Yeah, so
I hope it's actually a sound effect of a guy going.
Yeah.